Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and we got a book review for you today, and it is the second book of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, entitled The Great Hunt. I'm working slowly through The Wheel of Time. The reason why I'm going slowly through it is because, number one, I know it's a journey, and number two, these are heavy books, right? There's a lot of names, there's a lot of happenings, and I know that when we get into the middle of it, it's called the slog. Is that what it's called? So I know that is coming. So I'm just pacing myself. But book two here, The Great Hunt. And so I'm going to get to the actual content and what I liked and didn't like here in a second. But what I normally try to do in these book reviews is tell something about the author. And when it's a standalone novel, I can just give you a brief biographical sketch of the author. But with Robert Jordan and so many books, we're going to just try to give some interesting facts about him each book review. So I got three for you today, and these all kind of revolve around his education and his actual militaristic background. Well, first of all, he was a nuclear engineer. So before getting into writing, he worked as a civil engineer in the nuclear department for the U.S. Navy. So let us not think that this man is just someone who sits back and uses his imagination. No, he was brilliant. A nuclear engineer. Secondly, he was a veteran during the Vietnam War. He served 2 tours in Vietnam as a helicopter gunner, earning the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Bronze Star, and 2 Vietnamese crosses for gallantry. So he was a war hero, as well as a brilliant mind. And leading into his military career, he graduated from the Citadel, which is a military college in South Carolina, with his degree in physics, which obviously allowed him to work as a nuclear engineer in the military. And so this is a man who loved his country. He loved learning. And you're going to see a lot of that militaristic mindset in The Wheel of Time. A lot of how nations are interacting in this warring time is through militaries. And so I thought that was interesting to sort of help color, what influenced him when it came to writing The Wheel of Time, which he started later in his career. Well, what is the plot of book 2, The Great Hunt? Well, we return to our 3 amigos, right? Mat, Perrin, and Rand. And their compatriots join them again. Egwene, Nynaeve, and a lot of new faces are introduced in this story. And I'll get to some of them a little bit later. But they again find themselves in the line of trouble from the Dark One, when the ancient Horn of Valere, which is housed and protected by the Aes Sedai, is stolen. And who's it stolen by? Well, it is stolen by Padan. We know him from originally early on in book 1. He's sort of the peddler that comes into Edmund Field, and it's revealed that he is a dark friend. He is working for the Dark One. And here, he seems to be different. He seems to be much darker, much more almost in control. And he has a horde of Trollocs that he leads, and there's even an interaction when he sort of does battle with a Fade in this book, and Padan wins. So there is something going on with Padan. But they capture the Horn of Valere, and they capture the blade, the dagger that Mat is sort of bonded to. You'll remember that he stole and that has cursed him. So there is a lot of pressure. This horn is part of the ongoing prophecies about the dragon, that the dragon will cause the horn to be sounded and will be linked with that horn moving forward as the dragon steps back into power and the spotlight, and leads once again the forces of good against the Dark One. And so these are stolen, and so the Amyrlin seat and all of the other Aes Sedai come and they enlist, yes, Rand, Mat, and Perrin, as well as some soldiers to go out and retrieve it. And so that's sort of Matt, Perrin, and Rand's arc throughout the story. They're tracking down the horn and the dagger, and leads them in a whole different lot of problems that we'll get to a little bit later. The girls are also in their sort of own trek. We got Egwene and Nynaeve and Elayne, who is the daughter-heir. You'll remember her from the previous book. And Min are all taken to Tar Valon. Min is not training to be an Aes Sedai, Min is there. They meet her there, but they begin their training. And Egwene jumps in with both feet as she's been excited about becoming an Aes Sedai. Nynaeve is one who is much, much more hesitant and resistant to any type of submission to the Aes Sedai. She's a very arrogant person. She's a very hot-headed girl. And so she struggles much more than Egwene does. But those are sort of the two tracks that are going. The guys are on a hunt, the Great Hunt is what it's called, hunt for the horn, and the girls are traveling to Tar Valon. However, with the Dark One gaining more and more freedom, things never go as planned. And that is because people are not as they seem. This is a story that is infused with some characters who betray, who are trusted and reveal themselves, yes, to be dark friends, to be working against the light. And so that is sort of your overall plot of the story. And there's some things that I really liked about this book. I liked the development of Padan Fain, as I sort of mentioned a little bit earlier, his stealing the Great Horn, and I say development, and I probably should say his degradation, right? As he is growing darker and darker, you can see how he is used by the Dark One in even more terrifying ways. But I liked sort of his trajectory. There are some new characters. Perrin is an Aes Sedai. She goes with Rand, Matt, and Perrin. She kind of tracks them down and helps them hunt for the horn, which is super cool. She's an interesting character. The Amyrlin Seat, the actual leader of the Aes Sedai, it's interesting to see her early in the book and sort of the mask that she's put up that comes down once or twice, and you actually see the true woman behind the power of the Aes Sedai. I liked Selene, and she is a very complex character. I believe we find a little bit more about her sort of in the last chapter or two. And so I liked her, the uncertainty that I felt when I was reading about her. And then Hurin, the sniffer, which is such an interesting idea. This man can track death and violence, and he can smell the sense of this violence for a very, very long time. And so they use him to sort of track down Padan Fain and the Trollocs because they have such a unique smell. And so that idea of a sniffer, it was just kind of a cool idea. I really liked Egwene, Nynaeve, Elayne, and Min's relationship, their sort of bond and their friendship and pact, because things go really, really poorly for them at different parts of the story, and they have to really bind together and link together to even get out alive. So I like to see that group of ladies and girls sort of teaming up. Rand's growth and his comfortability in leading, he gets used to sort of being in charge at a certain part of the story. He gets separated from the other crew. I won't tell you how, but he sort of grows in his comfortability of being in charge, being the one that is looked to. Part of it is because of his outfit and just the situations they find themselves in. He's just looked to as the natural leader. So I appreciated that. The Great Game, the guys are going to come into a couple different towns where it seems to be there's this nationwide political game that is going on that Rand and Loyal and Hurin find themselves in the midst of as they're trying to hunt down for this horn. And when they roll into town, Rand is presented as this lord from the Outlands, and he's got Loyal and Hurin as sort of his servants. And they sort of find themselves in the middle of this big political game where if they do something, half of the town judges them. If they don't do something, the other half judges. And Rand just gets furious with it. He's just done with it. And so it's interesting, that element of how he resists it, how Varen, the Aes Sedai, comes alongside and helps to smooth things over. I liked the great game portion of the book. One last thing, the last 5 chapters absolutely flew. And so a lot of this is marching and following and hunting and searching. And the last 5 chapters is nothing but action and development. So, yeah, those, when I got to those, it was like, okay, in about 2 minutes, it felt like we were done with this book. So really, really enjoyed that. There are some things that I didn't like. Sometimes I present this section as confusing elements because there's really nothing I don't like. It's just, yeah, there's some things that maybe plot-wise were interesting choices. There were some things I didn't like about this book. And the first is the domain. There is one culture, and there's a couple chapters in here where kind of like human trafficking is just part of the culture. And the girls find themselves caught up in this. And not that I didn't like it because I didn't think it worked well with the story, but I didn't like it because it was viewed and portrayed as very, very dark. And so I think it's natural that I was against reading of those chapters. It felt like, ooh, I don't want my characters that I care about to go through some of the things that some go through. So that was part that I didn't like about it. Now, I didn't really fault Robert Jordan for including it. So that's a little bit of a difference where I didn't enjoy it. I don't think I was meant to. I mean, if you did, you'd be a psycho. But that was one element of the story that I did not enjoy. 2 things, though, that I would have done differently. Rand's whiny attitude. Man, and I just said earlier, one of the things I liked was him growing in his leadership, and he does. But he is whiny. I mean, every time the Aes Sedai are mentioned, he just throws a temper tantrum. And so I'm imagining he's going to grow out of that as we get through the story. But that was one part. Every time it felt like the Aes Sedai got mentioned or the dragon, he's just, oh, you just want to like slap him. Just stop it, right? And then secondly, there was not much Moiraine or Lan at all in this book. And their dynamic was one of my favorites of The Eye of the World. And so the few times that we got Moiraine and Lan in this story, I was like, oh, there they are. So I really like those two. I like their interaction. But I thought it was a good book. I really enjoyed book 2, The Great Hunt. I ranked it a 4 out of 5. Now I know, like I said, that sort of the slog is coming. And so I'm curious to see if I will sort of rework my rankings as we get into those. But for now, I enjoyed it. I said a 4 out of 5, and I felt pretty good about that ranking. But have you read it? Have you read The Wheel of Time? What were your takes of book 2? Did you agree with some of the things that I liked? Did you disagree with some of the things I liked and the things that I didn't like? Let me know in the comments below. But looking forward to continue to read it. Book 3 is coming up in the future. And when I read it, I will get this review up to you guys quickly. But thank you so much for watching. You can like and subscribe if you're interested. We will keep the books coming, keep the adventures rolling, and I'll look forward to the discussion that we continue to have. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next video.